Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and a very important day of Call of Duty action has just concluded. Many implications of what the Major is going to look like, and as tends to be tradition, a little few spicy things to talk about coming out of it as a result. Intriguing your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you were new as always, I greatly appreciate it. It really helps out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. First of all, thought this was pretty crazy. 5 years ago today, on the 12th of June 2016, OpTic, the team at the time, the Dynasty roster of Scump, Crimsix, of course, on the right-hand side, Formal right here, and Karma won at MLG Anaheim. Crazy to think that was 5 years ago, honestly, during Black Ops 3. Time flies just so fast, beating Elevator in the grand finals, Vonderhaar right in the middle. And this was when the team, I guess, was friends. They got on relatively well. Of course, since then, Scump and Crimsix certainly had a rift between them, and these last few days, Formal versus Crimsix has also been something to discuss. With any luck, we'll get these two teams matching up at the Major, depending, of course, how the seeding finishes out for the rest of these groups. We'll obviously so many great matches that, will be coming up. And also today, pretty interesting, was Atlanta FaZe versus Minnesota Rokkr. We'll talk about this in a second. The first time these two teams have matched up this entire season. Standy's birthday today, so moving different. Was kind of hoping he would do, and it was certainly a great series nonetheless. This also that I thought was pretty funny that TacticalRab Academy does a banger off. I think people were talking about this on Reddit, right? But yesterday in Rokkr's series victory, you could see right here that for whatever reason, MajorManiak's camera was delayed, so it looked like it was so long after the rest of his team reacted. He was in, straight up Internet Explorer mode right here, before he gets with the rest of his team and actually realizes, hang on a second, we actually did end up winning that series. Put them, of course, in a great spot facing up against Atlanta FaZe. The first series of the day was Ravens versus Los Angeles Guerrillas, and I mean, for some reason there was some technical difficulty. I was like, look, this series, it doesn't really count for anything at the end of the day. Both of these teams are down there at 0-4 in their group. Let's put it that way, right? Both teams could have the potential to still make World Championship. It's still possible they do so if they win like every single series forever, but it is relatively unlikely for both of these squads. Therefore, series didn't really mean too much. And of course, there's some sort of technical delay, and the Gorillas and Ravens right here joking about the fact that, okay, maybe we have to do another of these Connect 4 challenges to get this, to actually get something that we can see from a competitive nature. However, it does eventually get underway, and London decide, like, okay, let's get us back on schedule here, lads. 250-68, one of the more dominant map wins we've seen this season. We've seen it, I'm pretty sure the three most dominant map wins were, of course, 250-14, the Los Angeles Thieves versus Toronto Ultra situation that happened a few weeks ago now. The other two LA Thieves against Minnesota Rokkr, both on Moscow Harbor, where they beat them to 250-60 and then 250-59. This must be very close to being the number 4 spot with their, only 68 points in LIG. I mean, Afro had an absolutely phenomenal series, all things considered here. London dominate this game, number 1. Then game 2, this was just outrageous. Finally, I couldn't believe my eyes. Royal Ravens actually won a round 11 in Search and Destroy. It never happens. They were 0-7 on round 11 so far this season. They've finally won one. Afro 13-7. Alex 1-10. Like, he was just sitting back and relaxing, enjoying the show, as the rest of his team just went on absolutely on a mad one, to be honest. I mean, 1-10 for the win. You do not see that every day. Managed to get 1 kill in 11 rounds of Search. Not ideal. And, anyway, Ravens take the 2-0 edge by finally winning a round 11. Couldn't believe what I was saying. The control ended up going the way of the Los Angeles Guerrillas. They won a pretty impressive one. I mean, it felt like Ravens should have taken it, to be honest. They won an offense where they needed to kind of choke the next one, but they go to a checkmate hardpoint where they have been pretty good, to be honest, so far this season, and they actually get a victory. So fair play to the Ravens. It really took Afro having a real standout series. The rest of the guys played well, most certainly. Alex, I mean, he had his moments, I think, in the control, but still, he's been, he hasn't exactly been a revelation for this London team since he has joined them. Let's just say that at the very least. But Afro is a great series. Good to see these guys finally coming to form. And let's move on to the next one of the day. Before we get into that, though, this comes out from Formal. Pretty entertaining stuff. People feel so hard tweeting anime gifs before a match, he says. Definitely a funny tweet, to be honest, because we see a lot of pro players doing this. And I mean, he may well be talking about the Florida Mutineers, who did that just a few hours before their matches. But we see them other players, the likes of Gunless, some other players as well, most certainly get in on the act of tweeting out the anime gifs. Think that'll make them play better or whatever exactly is going on right there. And as you can see right here, some Neptune tweeting one out. We're getting tweeted one out as well. And just after that, Formal tweets out, the following: people feel so hard tweeting anime gifs before a match. So will that help our Florida Mutineers in their game? That, of course, remains to be seen. This was the first game of the day that actually meant something significant. If FaZe won, Atlanta would be first seed. If Rokkr won, Minnesota first seed, Atlanta would be in indeed that second seed. And pretty interesting, right? Because as I said earlier in the video, maybe I even forgot to say it, the fact that Atlanta FaZe and Minnesota Rokkr, the first times these two teams have played since they dropped Priestahh MajorManiak right at the end of last season. So So bringing the vibes back for the boys most certainly. Game 1 was an absolute blockbuster. This was such a good hardpoint map. I don't know how FaZe, like, sometimes they just blow you out, and sometimes they win maps like this, where there was nowhere they should have really won this. They somehow fought their way back into this game, and Cellium went absolutely huge. Some of the kills they get right here, Simp gets traded out, but Cellium and Arcitys just fly through, get all the kills, and somehow clutch up 250 to 246. It felt like it was going to be an impossible break for them, but somehow FaZe make it work. If there's any team in the game that are going to clutch up games like this, it was pretty incredible to win this. But again, Minnesota Rokkr still looking very good indeed right now, especially their hardpoint seems to be somewhat improving. Then we go into a search and destroy at a 3-0 advantage early on for Minnesota Rokkr, and then FaZe just wins 6 straight. aBeZy's like, okay, I'm going to take over the game. I'm pretty sure Cellium says the same thing. He goes like, they combined for something ridiculous, like 23-7. I think we might actually see it right here. And that was indeed the 13th map win in a row for the Atlanta FaZe guys. That breaks their own record. Actually, no, it wasn't their own record. It was Toronto Ultra's own record in stage 3 of 12 map wins in a row. And FaZe broke that with 13. So a new record for FaZe. They keep doing it. I can't believe it, to be honest. You'd think really late in the season, like we are kind of now, that it'd be more difficult to set records like this. But, well, they defy all the odds. They break the record for the longest map win streak, and they certainly keep their ideas alive after winning this series of trying to break their own record of the series win streak, which I believe currently stands at 11 right now from Atlanta FaZe earlier on. We go into a control, though, and Minnesota Rokkr certainly do stay alive, winning the control in a clutch round 5. This really did feel like FaZe could have got the edge out of them here for, like, okay, maybe FaZe will just win their 14th straight map, because that would have been kind of crazy. They lost the search and destroy to Paris Legion in their very first series. Since then, they hadn't lost a single map all the way up until this one. So Minnesota take one off them, which is an impressive feat in itself, to be honest. Winning a single map off FaZe is not bad at all. And then we go into a raid hardpoint, though, and FaZe managed to close this one out to top of a 3-1 series to finish a 5-0 stage, and we'll move into the major. Undoubtedly, they're going to be favourites right here. Once again, to, at the very least, make the grand final, if not just win the entire thing in a LAN environment. And I mean, these players, let's not forget, won the last World Championship that was on LAN. It was Arcitys, Simp, and aBeZy winning it on United. So let's not take, pretend these guys aren't going to be particularly good in a LAN environment. That is certainly going to be the case. Very scary team indeed. Arcitys says, a terrible series I had in a while. My boys got me, sheesh. GG's Minnesota. All good, man. You got us on land, says Simp. Just a few days now until we do actually see these players back on a LAN environment. Very exciting indeed. Only, well, 4 days away, I guess, as I'm recording this video on the 13th, technically in the morning of the Monday on that Thursday when we are back in a LAN environment. This is pretty funny as well from aBeZy. There was some issues going on with this whole interview stuff, right? You're good. It wasn't your fault. Alec actually had the stream I'm muted on his setup, so I could hear it super loud over you talking to me. Didn't exactly know what was going on there, but funny stuff regardless. Tiny Terror's at it again. I mean, look at these stats, right? aBeZy and Simp just combining plus 19 here, plus 15 here. Arcitys just kind of doing his thing, and Cellium gets the job done as well. I mean, this is just what FaZe do to any team in the game, but to be fair to Rokkr, they did look somewhat better. So the final series of the day, also massive implications from this one. Mutineers versus Dallas Empire. I thought, honestly, this was going to be a banger. Indeed, it ended up going straight down to the wire. Florida Mutineers, if they won, they'd get top 3. Dallas would be confirmed in 4th spot. If Empire won 3-0, then New York Subliners and Toronto would be top 2 guaranteed. Dallas would get 3rd. However, if they didn't win 3-1 or if they didn't win 3-0, then it would be, well, they would be guaranteed top 2, that being Subliners and Toronto, but Dallas would still have to have other things go their way to just about get over line. Game 1, really interesting to me. This was another classic thing of what Empire tend to do. They're a very solid team at not necessarily getting so many kills, and well, in terms of the slaying department, they never look too good, but they will always keep a map competitive, even if they're getting outslayed somewhat, generally speaking, and sometimes if they don't get outslayed massively. Right here, both teams got exactly 105 kills, so both teams were 105 kills, 105 deaths combined, but Dallas Empire win by like 90 points, which shows that when their teamwork is on point. ILLey had some great moments at times during this map. I mean, Shotzzy and Vivid really especially were turning out right, and this is what we expected to see when this team was formed. Okay, you know, we're getting Vivid in, we could have had Huke on the team right if you were a Dallas Empire fan. You're thinking, okay, do we really need to get rid of Huke, looking back on the situation as it stands? But Vivid, all things considered, a reasonable replacement, and well, they get the job done very nicely here in the game 1 on this checkmate hardpoint. Certainly a good map for them at the start of the season and going forward through the rest of it as well. One map that was good for Dallas for a time was Express Search and Destroy. There was a time where Crimsix had like, I don't know, forget exactly what he had, but he had like a 2 point, almost a 3 KD on this map, or something ridiculous. He had the highest KD on this map out of any player in the league. He would consistently go like 10-0 on it. It's kind of funny funny, right? Because when the map first came out, or first came back into the game, you can imagine, okay, Crimsix, a Black Ops 2 veteran, and so many great moments on this map back in 2013. He was just dominating on this map, but now teams have got better at it. He's had a little bit of a harder time, and Mutineers come out and just demolish them right here. A 6-0 sweep. That's the first time this season the Mutineers have actually got a 6-0 victory in a Search and Destroy. So they do it at a key time, and then they go into a control where, honestly, like, Mutineers are just so good at this map. This raid control is just an absolute masterclass from them, to be honest. Every single time we seem to see them playing it, Skies especially is just a monster here. He's actually using the SMG, and we saw this sometimes last year in Modern Warfare, where the Florida Mutineers team, Skies, I'm pretty sure it was specifically on some Petrograd domination, where sometimes Skies would use an SMG. Usually he's an AR player, of course, but when he does get it up, when he does pick up the SMG, he's obviously very talented with it, and I mean, yeah, does it to great effect right here. Even though Dallas win the game 1, they win a crucial offense to the Mutineers in great fashion, and take us all the way, well, to a game 4, with them being in the advantage. And well, this map as well, I didn't really point it out in that clip right there, but Vivid finishes it 6 in 23. Brutal map for him. I don't know what exactly the lowest KT we've had so far this season is in Respawn. That's got to be down there at 0.26. Not the greatest, but in the map 4, to be fair to Vivid, does bounce back pretty spectacularly. But yeah, the slaying, as we tend to see on Checkmate Control for Mutineers, just completely out of control. But Vivid bounces back in great effect. Honestly, Mutineers had some great moments in this one. They could have made it work. Havoc had a crazy 4-piece towards P5, even though it goes like 19 and 30, I think that Havoc does this map. He still has some great moments at a time, but yeah, it was Shotzzy making plays. Really strange map, to be honest. Definitely some mistakes on either side on this, and I think that both teams have some work to do, at the very least, if they're going to actually win a championship here, especially up against the FaZe team that we've seen earlier today, moved to 5-0 in their group once again. But Dallas take it all the way to a game 5, and a very interesting game 5 indeed. It was certainly a back and forth affair early on, but towards the late rounds, Crimsix took over the game, made some great plays, to be honest, and Dallas Empire run away with them actually in a 6-2 fashion in the end. So very impressive series victory for the Dallas Empire, all things considered. Mutineers came in here in a great spot, but again, it seems like Mutineers, when they really come down to the wire, can they quite get over line? Doesn't seem like they quite can as of yet. They certainly have done it, but I'm not sure I necessarily trust them to be able to replicate what the performance they showed early on in this stage when they come to a major tournament. So it's really interesting exactly how these situations break down at the present time. But the New York Subliners and Toronto Ultra are guaranteed top 2 as a result of this situation, and now it's between the Dallas Empire and the Mutineers as to who exactly gets third in their group, and that will come down to exactly what happens in the matchup tomorrow between the Toronto Ultra and the New York Subliners. As Crimsix says right here, 1-3-2 are going to be the biggest Ultra fans tomorrow. I think Ultra has to beat New York for us to make it to winners, since we would lose map count tiebreaker at the present time. Some more crazy stat lines here, to be honest. Like, look at this. So if you look at this scoreboard, who would you have said have won the series, right? You've got Havoc going -24, but the rest of the team super positive, but the Dallas Empire get completely outslayed and still manage to find their way to win the series. This is honestly the Dallas Empire way as of late. So, look, there's still a chance for both of these teams to make it. That's why that match tomorrow is very important for a number of different reasons, but at the very least, LAN will be back. But on the other side of things, from a LAN perspective, if you're back on LAN, you really want to be starting in winners. So many important series tomorrow that are going to have big implications. In addition, of course, to OpTic versus Los Angeles Thieves. We'll dive into it all tomorrow morning. And take your thoughts in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm that you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care. And I'll see you next time.